There's been two big environmental focuses for this administration, and it'll continue going forward. First is air quality, and we've been working from your front yard by switching out your gas-powered lawnmower for a clean electric one at no cost to you. Watch for more of that coming this year, up through expanding our public transit system and making it more convenient. We want to see free fare forever, and we loved Free Fare February in 2022. We're helping grow our EV charging network. And last year, we issued a permit every day for a business or homes who want to do EV charging. Our port use in the public facilities for EV charging has gone up over 60% in just the last 3 years. So we're going to be going after hundreds of thousands of federal dollars in grants to grow the EV network here in the capital city. Our biggest transformations are around the energy we use. And we're going to be seeing an 80-megawatt solar farm come online in the next about 1.5 to 2 years. And that'll fuel almost all of the energy that Salt Lake City government uses. The biggest transition of all, though, is 100% net renewable energy that will come into every customer, every plug-in outlet in this entire city by 2030, if not before. We're going to be taking that rate structure to the Public Service Commission in March of this year. The Great Salt Lake has always been our namesake, but it's also become a real air quality threat and a threat to the stability of our entire region. Salt Lakers are really caring about the environment. Just last year, Salt Lake water users conserved almost 3 billion gallons of water just because we asked you to be more conservative. We've always cared about our air quality too, and you see those converge around the Great Salt Lake. So we're going to be stepping up and taking some additional actions as a city. First, we're going to review top to bottom every water use that we as city government have. Every park, our cemetery, all of our public buildings, and where we can find efficiencies, we're going to make them, even if it means coming to the city council for some extra funding. We're also looking at our water treatment facility, which puts out at the other end really clean water that can be reused. I'm going to work with our public utility to dedicate the 13 billion gallons of water that come out of our water reclamation facility and dedicate those in perpetuity to the Great Salt Lake. That's a big bite for us. The 3 billion gallons we saved altogether, combined with that 13 billion, is a significant step forward for the lake. But the reality is, the entire Salt Lake Valley is only 9% of the total watershed that can flow into the Great Salt Lake. Even recognizing that small fraction that we are, we're going to do everything we can to help save the Great Salt Lake, our namesake. One of the big milestones of 2022 was that we dedicated more money to affordable housing than we ever have before. We have more than 2,400 new units of affordable housing that are either open today or are nearly there in the pipeline of construction that the city helped to fund and create. And in April of this year, we'll be welcoming more than 400 permanent supportive and transitional housing units, specifically for those who are experiencing homelessness today. And the majority of those will open by the time that winter shelter closes. These are massive steps forward for us, and they're possible because we're not doing it alone anymore. That kind of finger pointing and backward looking blaming that the city did for way too long is over, and we're working together. Therefore, we're leveraging what was $6 million a couple months ago that we appropriated, with $27 million from the state, another $6 million from the county, and we're able to make so much more happen. So this coming year, we're going to keep doing it. We're going to actually put $10 million into the creation of 1,000 new affordable units, most of which will be family-sized housing. And what's more than that we've never done before, is that these will be wealth-building homes. And so instead of the entity that owns the building taking the revenue and maybe plowing it into another project, all of the revenue generated from that building after paying all the bills will go into the pockets of the residents. It's like equity building without having to go through the ownership. And there's even a segue into home ownership for 500 more units of housing as part of this $10 million package. Cities change, and we know as Salt Lakers, we have not been immune to major changes. A lot of people are interested in living here. We're a growing population. We have one of the strongest economies in the country. And those changes shouldn't be intimidating to us. They are opportunities for us. And cities that don't change and don't evolve and don't continue to adapt, they die. Those are not growing places, and that's not the kind of struggle that we want to face as Salt Lakers. The pivotal part of it is whether or not we make that growth good for us. That's where your city government comes in. That's the bread and butter of what we do every day. And we want you to be involved. When we found out that the bees were going to be leaving to daybreak, I felt disappointed and sad, but I know that part of them did too. They have loved playing at the Smiths ballpark. And I know that it means a lot to the Larry H. Miller family and corporation. And so I urged them to find a way that they could stay invested and actually invest in a different way in that very community that they'll be moving out of in 2 seasons. And they have accepted the opportunity to lead a $100 million investment in the ballpark neighborhood. We will be partnering with them, and there's some other corporate partners that are stepping up as well. That won't just be for the brick and mortar of whatever might come next, but it's really focused on human capital, around building human-centered programs and opportunities, not only for the ballpark neighborhood, but I think that these investments and the early childhood education potential, workforce training, economic stability, recreation access, all of these indicators of well-being will be supportive for the entire Salt Lake City community. It's a tremendous investment. We've never seen this kind of human-centered investment in our city before, and I'm really grateful for the Larry H. and Gail Miller Family Foundation for stepping up. The state of the city this year is that the city is ready. And what I mean by that is that the things that we've been through, the challenges and the successes we've seen in the last 3 years, and mostly actually our commitment to staying in the work and staying at the table and building relationships that are collaborative and productive with our state, county, and other cities has put us in a position to get more out of the growth that's happening here in the city for the good of our residents, get our hands sort of involved in the day-to-day workings of decisions that are being made outside of City Hall but impact us as a city. And we are ready for whatever is next, for good or for bad, but we are building a tremendously good future. And I know we're capable of all of it. Every year since I became the mayor, we've put a plan out for what we're going to do and what we want to do above and beyond the normal functions of city government. And we did it again this year. And at the end of the year, we give ourselves a report card and let you know as the public what we completed and what we didn't. And if we didn't, where it's at and when it will be done. Please check out that report card. We'll add the link in here. And also look at our plan for 2023, which we just released.